What's up, y'all? Welcome to Is Giving, where we discuss all things TV and film. This is your boy, your host, Brandon the Introvert. In this episode, we have a very special guest today, Evity. You want to introduce?
Yay.
You don't have to introduce yourself, saying what you do, nothing. Just whatever you want to say.
Oh, hi, I'm Evity. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me, Brandon.
Of course, of course. I feel like this was a long time coming. In this episode, we're going to be discussing Snipe Hunt Atlanta Season 4, Episode 7, directed by Hiro Murai and written by Francesca Sloan. But before we get into that, we're going to have a few little intro questions, a little icebreaker just to segue into everything. So, my first question for you, Evity, is who do you think is most interesting? Van, Al, or Darius? I took out Earn because Earn
Okay,
doesn't.
good.
Earn
That's my
pales in
least.
comparison
Yeah, that's my least favorite
to
character.
all of them. Like, do you watch Seinfeld like that?
I don't. I want to get into it, but
I don't know if you. I think you should just try it.
yeah,
Try it, especially with having Atlanta in mind, because I definitely think that was one of the shows. At least I feel like that they're modeled the dynamics off of, like, because
uh,
Earn reminds me a lot of Jerry. Van gives me some Elaine vibes. Darius definitely gives me Kramer vibes, and Al definitely gives me like George vibes. So I do, and like Kramer, Elaine, and George, they're the most interesting. Like, even they were saying they had to get three powerhouse actors to kind of offset Jerry because he's kind of like bland a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of how it was with like Earn, and that's why I left Earn off
Oh, that's
because like
interesting.
yeah.
So it's purposeful that the dynamic. You think?
I think they definitely got a lot from Seinfeld, and I think also Atlanta for me is like I think it feels, you know how it's not chronological in a lot of like plot lines and stuff. Even when you like look at articles, it's supposed to like basically it's experiences through a black lens.
Mm-hmm.
Um, moments that you might talk about. Remember that one time that happened. Like I feel like that's what each episode is kind
Yeah.
of like
That,
about,
yeah.
and it doesn't take itself too seriously. So I just feel like that vibe and tone is very Seinfeld. Like Seinfeld did not take itself too seriously. It was definitely more about like the little nuances in society or whatever, like just
Mhm.
the mannerisms and rules and all that, the unspoken rules. But I feel like at the end of the day, Seinfeld isn't going to have a plot where you're like, what's next after? You know what I mean? It
Right.
doesn't. It it's just a moment in time, and I feel like that's what Atlanta is. And I feel like now we're just starting to get like black TV where we can just exist. It doesn't
Mhm.
have to be this huge dramatic thing all the time. It could just be an episode about we go to a park and some shit happens,
Mhm.
but it's just through our perspective. But I definitely think it's Seinfeld is definitely one of its heavily influences to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
I'll
yeah.
give it another. I feel like I don't think I've made like an intentional decision where I sat down and was like, I'm gonna put on a Seinfeld episode. Like
Yeah,
if it's on, I feel like I've watched and I just didn't vibe with it. But I hear often like people really like it. I understand it's a cultural staple.
it
Um,
is much
so
better than Friends. It's like you either like Seinfeld or you like Friends because Friends was so and you already know they ripped off Living Single for one, but Friends is so sunshine and I don't
okay.
know, it's just more it's fake.
Yeah.
Seinfeld, the characters don't become better people. They like literally stay the same. If anything, they become worse. But Friends is kind of like very idealistic,
Mhm.
very sitcom. Like Seinfeld is a very anti-sitcom.
Okay.
Um like George, the one episode, like there was a fire, he pushed all the kids and the grandma out the way so he could be the first one out. And that's like typical George behavior. But Friends, they wouldn't do that. Like they would
Right.
look down on that. Like
Right.
so they're like selfish, neurotic, narcissistic type of people. And
Oh
it's just
wow. Okay.
fun to watch that play out. Yeah. Back to the question. But yeah, you should definitely watch specifically season 3 to 5 or 6. Like that season 3 to 5 is like
Three,
Seinfeld's
five,
golden
6. Okay.
age. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, who do you think is the most interesting? Van, Al, or Darius?
The most interesting.
to you, because that could be taken in a lot of different ways.
Yeah. I feel like Darius is the most interesting, but Al is my
That's
my
right.
heart
Mhm,
character. Like that's the
mhm,
person I'm consistently rooting for, whose perspective like I always try to understand him, and I feel like he just has a good heart.
mhm,
And I don't know, I feel like the character development we're watching and all the characters to me all lead back to like Al's dream and talent, and it's like
mm,
everybody's getting you know, like they're getting positively impacted by his story as well.
mhm.
And then I guess I'm rankings, but I'll say Al, Darius, and Darius is interesting in the sense of like I'm sure he's interesting to everybody. Like
Right,
everything
right.
coming out of his mouth, it's like oh my gosh. So I'd say Al, Darius, and with Van, I really struggled with her character essentially all series up until her finale episode from last season.
Tawara, yeah.
Yeah, and I think we just
Mhm,
talked about that not too long ago because I rewatched it. But I had struggled with her character because it felt a little like bland. Um,
mm,
and I don't know how deep we get into an analysis, but I struggle with the actress as well. But I think
mm,
sometimes I worry it's like, is it the actress or is it just like how the character is written?
mhm,
But I feel like given that finale episode and then given this episode as well, this episode and the Tyler Perry episode, I
mhm,
think that did a better job of like um, putting like the human experience, the mother woman experience to her a little bit more to where I also understood her a little bit better. So
mhm,
ultimately, to answer your question, I just love Al. I love the actor as well. I feel like he's like amazing in everything. Um, and I just feel like there's a lot of different layers to Al.
mhm,
And he's this very, I don't know, he's very like vulnerable, very empathetic. And I love the ways the show uses his character to show that.
mhm. Yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. Like, I do feel like Al is literally the grounding for why they're even doing all these adventures and
Mhm.
have this money, and
Exactly.
definitely that's something I didn't think about. Like, it's all based in his talent and his growth. Really, they're all kind of tied to that in a way.
Mhm.
And with Van, I get what you're saying too. Like, I feel like I don't know if it's either the actress or, and then I saw her in Deadpool 2 and Joker. I would, just from seeing her different performances, I think I know what you mean. Like, I think she gives like a nonchalant type
Yeah.
of thing. Like, it's just
Yeah.
like
She's
they
just
say,
there.
like rolling, and like she's just like,
Exactly.
well, like she's kind
Exactly.
of like that. Yeah.
Exactly. Did you watch The Harder They Fall?
No, that's on my list. I'm so
Oh,
behind on that.
you would really like it. You would really like it.
Mhm.
But when I say
Is
I
she
hate to
similar to that? Because I feel like that's like a very
yes,
strong personality type of film.
yes, and it's like everybody on that on the movie.
Regina King,
Yes,
Idris, Lakeith, I
just
think is on
Jonathan
there,
Majors, like everybody was like
giving it they all.
giving it, and these like it was a very fast moving story too. And then she would come on, and I'm like, child.
She's just like, hey.
Well, I guess. Yeah, I haven't seen her in the other one, so
Yeah, but she gives similar, like literally, it's funny, like in Deadpool 2, I don't want to spoil too much, but like her character is as like the most nonchalant ever.
yeah,
Like, there's a reason for that,
yeah,
but she still is nonchalant.
right, right, right,
So I get what you mean. I
yeah.
definitely get what you mean.
Which is fine. I think like it's like that's why I say it's hard for me to separate is it the actress or the character because I think like I don't know, it makes sense how the her nonchalantness in the show. Nonchalant is that a word? Whatever. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so but it would just especially like season one, I really struggled with her. I'm like, I get a new
She
girlfriend.
wasn't giving nothing.
Get somebody else. Exactly. Um, but like I remember there'd be other episodes like the Drake episode. I thought she was hilarious in that. So
Mhm,
like she has her moments where I'm like, okay, like you're a really good Van. Like
mhm,
he plays Van really well. Like as I understand who Van is a little bit better. I'm like, okay, you
And
do that.
Tarare definitely gave us a range of what she could
Yes,
do.
yes. Oh my gosh, like that. She's insane. Like she's just a weird girl. I resonated way too much with that episode. I
Me too.
rewatched
Me
it.
too.
I rewatched it and I was just like, mm-hmm. Wow. I get it. I get it. I see beginning to end. You don't even have to tell me the background of how you got here. I've been there. I understand. So
A whole new person,
uh,
a whole
no, and she's so funny. Like the first time I watched, like, what the heck is happening? The second time I laughed like the whole time. So I'm like, this girl's just crazy. She's just crazy. That's it. And it's okay.
she got
You
an
know?
edge to her too.
Too.
Like
Mm-hmm.
a very calm edge, I feel like.
Yes.
So
That's my
I,
girl.
I would definitely agree with that breakdown. Like Al definitely is like the heart. Van, I think Van has a lot of hidden layers. I think there's a lot brewing in her, and it makes her kind of unreadable. And Darius, I view Darius as he's just an enlightened type of
Right.
character. Like he's reached where everybody is trying to get to, and I feel like
Right.
when you've reached that, you're kind of like not even a human anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I let's get into the episode. So basically, we kind of get a rare glimpse into the family dynamic between Ern, Lottie, and Van because I don't think we've ever seen Ern and Van with Lottie. I feel like Lottie is always with Ern or Van.
Mhm.
And until recently, we haven't even seen Lottie talk. We don't even know her personality up until the Tyler Perry episode.
Mhm.
So we see a little bit more of that. And I feel like with the backdrop of this camping ground setting,
Mhm.
we kind of get kind of a vacuum of sorts. There's no other besides the campgrounds person, but there's no other people. It's only focusing on them. And I think with that kind of nature setting, it gives us space to just I don't know, listen and
Yeah.
watch. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? There's not a lot of it's not Atlanta where it's a lot of like distractions, like literally the city of Atlanta where there's a lot of distractions, a lot of stuff going on to focus on. We're only like seeing them. And I
Mhm.
feel like seeing their dynamic lay bare, it kind of makes a lot of things apparent and makes a lot of things plain and obvious.
Yeah.
So I think this was definitely especially with the Sade at the beginning, like like
That
the
was
beginning and
beautiful.
end.
Yeah.
It was a very, very beautiful episode. So I think one of the first major things I noticed was just how Van and also before I even get into that, I'm glad that this episode aired after Crank That Killer because remember initially I was gonna have you on that episode, but and I was telling you like I was like, Evan, you got like a literary, poetic, artistic type of mind, and I feel like it wouldn't be used to the best of his ability on that type of episode because it was very like you saw, it was very like I feel like it was light in a lot of ways, but it was just
Yeah.
like it was very action packed, but it was just very like it wasn't trying to say nothing large or anything like that.
Right.
So
It was funny. It was
it
really
was
funny.
funny. It
Yeah.
was funny, but I feel like I wouldn't be able to use you to the best of your ability with that type of episode. And then I feel like when that didn't work out, I realized with the season 4 trailer, I saw there was a part of Ern and Van like camping. I think I saw Lottie in there, but it was definitely Ern and Van camping, and I already knew that was going to be like one of their best episodes of that season. So it was just a matter of when was that episode going to air. So it was like there was 4 more episodes left in the
Mhm.
season, so I knew it was going to be a 25% chance that the next episode would be that, and it turned out it was that.
But that's
So
perfect.
it worked out really perfect, and I'm glad that we can talk
Talk
about
about-
the episode,
Yeah. I'm excited. Yeah.
because I feel like there was a lot of like, if it was in a book, it was a lot of like metaphors and little, the plot
Yeah.
devices and shit like that. I
Yeah.
feel like they used, and one of those, which I'm about to talk about, is the tent that Ern and Van constructed.
Yeah.
It was interesting that this was something that they both worked on it wasn't perfect, but I
Mhm.
do realize that Lottie loved it, and I
Yeah.
felt like that meant something.
Yeah.
What did you like, did you have those similar thoughts? Like, what did you think that tent might have, like, represented?
I love that. I loved, I agree with the like, them building it together.
Mhm,
I thought it was also interesting the, like we definitely got to see the history of their dynamic play out of, like, Ern didn't know much about the tent or, like, camping. He had just, like, bought the most expensive one, right? Something like that,
mhm,
the biggest one. And the tent was an example, but they consistently would have situations where, like, Van used something and then, Ern would go and just, like, put money on it
mhm,
to make it better, make the experience better. Um, but I agree. I liked the teamwork effort of it. I think one takeaway I had initially got was like the contrast between season one, this like how Ern is consistently showing like all the concerns that Van had when it came to like money more specifically and how they were gonna have a family
mhm,
um, and build a family and how he
mhm,
was now able to like adjust that. Like I remember like at the end when it was raining and then they had to leave and he was just like, leave it there, we'll just like get another one.
mhm,
And I could see how much like that meant to Van. I loved it. I felt like it was
mhm,
also a good like culmination and metaphor for the conversation they had in the tent of like it's not about the tent, it's about like our family. As long as we have each other and we're fine, we can always like
mm,
get another tent, move to LA, move to wherever. And I thought that was really beautiful. uh,
mhm.
So yeah, I loved that tent part as well.
That's, yeah, that's a good way of putting it, like, it kind of represents their internal home.
Exactly.
Yeah, their internal home.
Exactly.
And the fact that Lottie, even though it was, like, imperfect, that she loved it, and maybe whatever home they build together now, she'll just, end up loving as
Yeah.
well. Because I was talking about nature and stuff, I feel like how
Mhm,
it blends well with how we're seeing them right now, but what
mhm.
role did nature play in this episode for you? And
Uh,
also, like, in tandem with Hiro's, like, direction and stuff, because there's a lot of, like, silent moments
yeah,
where there was no dialogue, you're just watching Lottie go through that, like, brick, little architecture,
yeah,
she's getting a frog, the water, stuff like that.
yeah. I liked your initial comment. Like I didn't even stop to think about that. Like the the fact that they didn't do the normal transitions where there'll be like a random character that does something funny.
Mhm,
Um I obviously I recognize it in watching the episode, but I didn't stop to like process why that would be really important. One for the like the intimate conversation they were having.
mhm,
But I think I also liked like I don't know. It felt like it was this weird utopia where they only existed, and I really
mm,
liked that.
mhm,
Um,
mm,
I felt like with the nature scenes, um, it really highlighted whatever Lottie's going through. I think we really got to see her extrovertedness, like in that Tyler
mhm,
Perry episode. And I wish I could say this right, but like I feel like in showing nature and showing her alone a lot, like walking around, wanting to leave her parents, I think for me it was really highlighting like how she's directly impacted when they don't have their stuff
that's
together,
the mm,
and how like when they are together, she's like wanting to get away from them. And I
mm,
feel like with the Tyler Perry episode, like that really highlighted it for me because I'm like, yes, part of it was the funniness that like he was having the Tyler Perry, whoever was having her like record all these episodes or whatever. But
yeah,
I
that was
also
a
saw it as like she's probably trying to get away from Van. She's constantly not
mm.
wanting to be with them because they're always, they're
It's not
never.
an anxious, weird energy for a
Yeah,
child.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. And how she even mentioned like she wished when they were on the canoe or whatever, she wished her grandparents were there. So it's like
right.
I feel like her character is consistently highlighting how they're like directly and sometimes negatively impacting her. Um,
Mm,
so that's what that nature part did for me. Um, as well as just like I said, like kind of isolating them in order for them to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I think also, like, I don't know, I think this episode felt like a uh not filler. What am I trying to say? Like a calming, like, we want to remind you guys that these are like humans having
Mm-hmm.
sorry, I'm like trying to find the sunlight.
No, you
trying
good.
to have trying to have like a human experience still. And so I think like whenever it is in Atlanta and there's all those background stuff, like we get reminded like, hey, we're watching like a show that's
Mm-hmm.
like not real. But I don't know, this one felt like really real.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved that part of it. And I thought it was just like, it was just so intimate, shot so beautifully. There were no distractions. So I think, yeah, I loved that part. And I love that they took her on that experience. I feel like that's a really special thing to have. Like,
Yeah.
how old she was turning, I don't know, but I'm like, I feel like if I was a child, that's something I would probably really, really love.
Mm-hmm. And seeing like just the dynamic between like the parents like right in front of you too.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly.
but that's yeah, it was a utopia. It was like a dreamlike almost type of utopia
Exactly.
for sure. Yeah. I wanted to I think I'll ask this question first because I do want to get more into Lottie because she's a very like even with just 2 episodes, I find her to be a pretty like interesting, cool type of kid.
I agree. And that's
Yeah. Let's get into that.
actually
Yeah, let's get into
she's
that. Like,
killing it. Like,
yeah,
she's doing
like
such a good job.
for us to just know Lottie as like a baby, like a little baby child who's either crying or sleep or just doing nothing to just these
Right.
2 episodes alone, like she's smarter than the even remember in I think it was Ern and Van had a school meeting about Lottie, and the teacher said Lottie's very advanced.
Hmm.
So I just feel like in general, Lottie's just she's a smarter than your average type of child.
Yeah.
So what do you think about Lottie?
I love her. I love her. I think like I agree, like in these short 2 or 3 episodes, like we're really getting to see her personality come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like to tie it to their conversation too, I think they do a good job of highlighting how she is also a result of the fact that they're two good people. It's like
Mm-hmm.
whenever it's their own personal stuff that gets in the mix, they mess it up. But when they come together, they they do great things. And I think
Mm-hmm.
she's like the culmination of that. Um, and um, I love how I just love everything about her. I love how she speaks. I love how she's opinionated. I really appreciate how they talk to her. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this is me just analyzing things that they're not talking about, but I feel like that's a testament to like how she talks and expresses herself as well, because they just kind of like she's the third person in the family versus this like baby child that
Baby child, yeah.
that they like treat weird. Um,
Like with how Van talked to her at the end of
exact.
the Tyler Perry episode.
Yes, I
Like that
love
was
that.
very like I
Yeah,
was like, you don't see a lot of parents that would talk to their child like that. And I feel like because of that moment, Lottie's probably not going to have any internalized stuff. Cause like
yeah,
the fact that Van, she even though she as an adult, as a mom, she knew that Tyler Perry studio. I wish we talked about that episode too.
I know
But
that would have been hilarious.
that chocolate studio, she knew they were going to exploit her. But
Yeah,
Lottie, as a child, didn't know that. But Van knew it was still important to her, so she still apologized. Even though Van
exactly,
did the right thing, she
exactly.
still apologized to her and instilled in her like at a certain point you're going to have to know what you stand for. In the podcast episode I had with that one, I said the way in which they talk, it was like Van was talking to like her inner child, her child, and herself in a
Yeah,
way. Because like
yeah,
season 3, we saw she didn't really know what she stood for. She just viewed herself as Ern's baby mom, or
exactly.
as a orbiting planet around Earn. You know,
Right.
she didn't view herself as a autonomous person.
Right.
So I feel like her instilling that autonomy into Lottie, and then I feel like what parts of Earn does Lottie have? I don't know. She can be shrewd. I don't know. Earn. Well, I feel like Van is more intuitive, but anyway, they're But I do feel like that also speaks to just how younger parents will be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just
That's fair.
like viewing children as almost like equals, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
with you. I think I also loved that last scene. Like I remember replaying it and pausing to be like, that's not something I've seen before or considered
Hmm.
or like thought about. Like, how do you have a conversation with a child? Like that situation is one of those, like, your parent took you out. There is no like explanation for why or
Yeah.
apology even. Um and I think like it was so beautiful. I really loved that it was like, this is just how it is. Sometimes like you don't get what you want and it sucks.
Hmm.
And then I'm gonna pause here to give you like space. Like I just, it's so simple and it was really beautiful.
Hmm.
Um so I think like that episode we saw her like more vocal for sure, her personality coming out, she's acting, she's doing all these things. This one, I feel like it was her nonverbal behavior
Mm.
that really got
Mhm.
to me. Um Again, just like seeing her alone a lot, seeing her not want to like play or not want to be with them. Um I don't know, I feel like it again just reminds like the viewer that as you're watching Earn run around Atlanta and Van be in Paris and all these things, there's like a Lottie behind the scenes as well, who's like, it's like, it makes you think like, I wonder what she's thinking about right now. Like I
Mhm.
wonder how she's feeling. And yeah, it was like the nonverbal stuff that I really liked. And then the what was it, what's it called, a snipe.
The snipe, yeah, yeah, you can
Yeah.
get that right, yeah.
That was kind of one of those like, that's the Van and her, the weird, you know what I'm saying? She's
Mhm.
a little crazy on the inside as well. But also just like the magic of Lottie and the magic of children. So I had really liked that they included that, and she was very
Mhm.
just like nonchalant about it as well, right? Like,
Mhm.
duh, I caught him. You told me like that he was coming,
Yeah, she's like, "It's a snipe."
right? Did
Yeah.
we not talk about it? Like,
Right.
yeah. So I really enjoyed that as well. I think I know there's not that many episodes, but I hope that they continue to like use her
Yeah, I wanna see more of Lottie for
and
sure.
expand on her story. And again, I'm sure she's like a trained actress and stuff, but like I'm so impressed
Yeah.
by her. Like I
I'm
feel
always
like,
impressed how children can just you know what I mean?
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
she really gets the all the stuff I talked about, that there's this little
Mhm.
girl, but she has all these like background stuff going on. And even like the car ride back, like
Oh,
how
yeah,
she
that
was
was
looking at them, I felt like heightened my feels of like
I
that
cried I
fight
teared
song
up,
playing in
yeah.
the background. It's like how she was looking at them was like, it's like I could see everything that she's possibly thinking. So that was just perfect. Um,
Mhm.
10 out of 10 this season. Like I'll really put her. She's like the star of this season.
Lottie, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like to see your parents in love too, and I think the way the direction was, we were able to just see things through her perspective in some scenes and
Hmm.
really like kind of understand what she was going through because things were just through her
Exactly.
lens. So yeah, I think she's going to grow up to be like a very like a powerhouse, creative, intuitive, emotionally intelligent type of child.
Hmm.
And I think that speaks to Earn and Van's growth because
Hmm.
Earn was definitely very closed off.
Hmm.
Van was kind of in the air, you know. So it's good that they can kind of get things together before their child grows up and,
Right.
they're not messing things up.
Right. Exactly.
What did you think about that scene where Van is just like observing Earn? Because Van, like I said, like it's hard to tell what she's thinking. She's very
Yeah.
nonchalant. It was giving it was getting a little creepy, but then it was giving a little tense, but then it was giving a little warm.
Yeah.
Then it was giving like, is she thinking about a life with him after? Like, I feel like it could be interpreted in a lot of different ways. Like, what was it like giving?
I think it's like everything you said, probably. I think like
Because after Tarara, we know she little,
yeah,
pushing
yeah.
people in the pools and stuff.
Exactly, exactly. I think it was probably like trying to I don't know. I picked it up as like he's showing himself as everything that she's been wanting for a long time, and it was looking at him like,
Mm,
is this real? Like trying to see like, is this gonna stay, or like waiting for him to like say the thing that was gonna um make her upset or like ruin this like happy perfect moment, because I feel like that's something we consistently watched in their dynamic. Like he
mhm,
would like tease her with the something in their life is going to get better, and then say some dumb stuff or like make a decision to uproot their life. So
mhm,
I was seeing it as like looking at him on some like, I hope this isn't too good to be true.
mm,
And also I guess like trying to understand like who, still trying to process and understand like who this person is, kind of like with the comment I made at the tent, like
mhm,
how when he had said like leave it there, we'll get another one, how she paused to look at him like, oh dang, like wow.
mhm.
Um I can't believe this. So yeah, I'm excited. I think to answer the question and just an overall comment, I really like what I really like about the show is like we get these like specific 25 minutes into these people's lives,
Specific
you
25
know,
minutes. Yeah.
and it's like it makes conversations about the show really fun, because it's like there's a whole myriad of things that were
Mhm,
probably happening that led up to it, uh,
mhm.
or like, you know what I'm saying. So it's because it's kind of like when you think about again Van's episode, it's like I wonder what's the distance between that episode and like this,
Yeah. How does the
you know.
restaurant, the meeting
Yeah,
the
like
guy?
yeah, like
Yeah.
how was her reunion back to Atlanta with her daughter, and her reunion to Earn now that he's like in
Mm,
therapy and like wanting all these like decisions for the family. So yeah, I really like that you like you're asking about just like the looks, because I'm just like I was thinking about that too, and I'm like, dang, I wonder like where in time is he
mhm,
even that they're having these experiences with each other.
mhm. Like what you said, the very specific 25 minutes where almost it's like we're seeing the resulting outcome of whatever, like the meetup back with Lottie, the going back to Atlanta, stuff like that.
Mhm.
We're just seeing it play out and like the effects of the moments that we don't see
Mhm.
or just hear about. And I feel like that's like the fabric of Atlanta. Just seeing these crazy moments and experiencing these very like individual times and places.
Right, exactly.
What'd you think of Ern's monologue to Van? Because honestly, I I don't
You
know if
go
that was
first.
Donald. I don't know if that was Donald Glover's like performance
Yeah.
or that was Ern's character. But for me, I don't think I was. I don't know if I'm not. I'm like 75% sold,
Mhm.
80% maybe. But it didn't. I wasn't like, wow, he really loves her.
Yeah.
It was like, I don't know, and I think Van, her reaction, I think she wants to believe him,
Mhm.
and I think she knows that she might be taking somewhat of a chance, and she's just
Mhm.
moving forward with it because she probably does feel the same way, but I think there's some latent hesitation because I do feel like he's going to therapy, but I also feel like he wasn't feeling this way about Van until she began to distance herself and become an individual. And I
Mhm.
feel like he was probably like, "Oh, I miss her," or like the fact that now he like in Amsterdam or Europe, he couldn't really get a hold of her.
Mhm.
Maybe even some people would go as far to say like control her, even maybe
Mhm.
or predict her anymore.
Mhm.
Maybe he started having appreciation for her,
Mhm.
but I don't know. I wasn't that sold. I wasn't
Yeah.
that old, to be honest. Like, I feel
I
like Earn is being too idealistic
yeah.
sometimes, and I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like Van is being realistic, you know?
Right.
So, what did you think of Earn's monologue to Van
In the
in that tent scene?
Okay. So, to be honest, I wish that they stretched that conversation out. Like
Yeah.
that's like what they were saying, how they were saying. Like I wish they stretched that part out. I'm trying to take in like what your answer was as well because I understand
Yeah.
your perspective. Um I think that I agree. I feel like Earn is being idealistic and it was like this
Mhm.
word vomit.
Mhm.
However, how he was saying it, I felt like it was like his most honest
Mm.
monologue that like most honest, most vulnerable monologue that we've seen in a long time. I think the only thing I felt like he wasn't taking into consideration in what he was saying was like his history with Van,
Mhm.
how and why she probably like was struggling to trust it.
Mhm.
However, I do think it was like I don't know, it felt like him very anxious, very like I feel like I have this opportunity to like be with my family. I don't want to lose it. Like plea, like it was like this like pleading
Yeah.
everything coming out at one time. So I think from that perspective, I
And he was trying to mention LA a lot of times. You
exactly.
know, he was
Yeah,
trying to do that. I give him that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he was trying to talk about it. I think like I guess like the reason it wasn't happening was Van's not wanting to do it at that time. Um,
Mhm.
so it's like when it did happen the whole time I was like, dang, like this because I wanted her to have like a thorough response, like
Right, right.
give her whole feelings and why. And I do think she gave a quick one, but I don't know, like it was a bit you could argue that it was like manipulative. And like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like and really kind of you're cornering me, my daughter's asleep right next to me.
Right. In
And
the tent and the
it's
you
tense,
know.
it's emotional, it's intense. So it's like that comment. And this is a new perspective. I feel like there's a version of me that's very like romantic and like,
Mm,
oh my gosh, this was beautiful. However, sidebar, I read this thread recently that like bashed the insecure uh series slash Lawrence and Issa and
mhm.
to talk about how like manipulative their coming back together was as well using the I'm so sorry now we're talking about a different show but
No, no,
I'll
that's
tie it back
cool. That's cool.
using the example of like and the last season this was Molly's engagement party. I think the moment where Lawrence like comes
Oh,
up to
Molly's wedding?
it
Wait,
wasn't
wait, no, no, they were already together.
she this is when she's still with what's his name,
Nathan?
Nathan,
I
sorry,
know.
fan
What's his
right.
name?
Oops. She's still with Nathan, and Lawrence is essentially like confronting her, like, "I still love you," blah blah blah.
Oh, Tiffany's baby,
Baby shower.
birthday party for the
Okay.
baby.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. So the thread talked about how many times Issa was trying to leave that conversation and like saying, "I don't want to do this right now," or like saying no, and how he like kept going and like then it's like how many times was she just like manipulated or emotionally made to like say yes to something that she kept trying to
Mm,
say no to. um Hence my comment about the manipulation in the tent scene because I'm just like dang, like I wonder uh had he said it like that, like on the picnic table, and she had the opportunity to like digest it a little bit more and give her response or give her perspective on like why not and stuff. Um, like how different would that be? Because I feel like he was pulling all the cards. Like I was just like, dang, like if you're making it seem like like now we get to be a core family and you're bringing up all this like emotional history obviously I feel like it's gonna make her want to answer a certain way, but
mhm.
overall, I felt for Ern. I took it more so on the, like, uh, we watched him go through therapy and, like, he's able to really tie in
Yeah,
um a lot of his, like, perspective and actions have been based on, like, a lot of deeply rooted stuff. So I think given that we have that perspective, I'm able to empathize with him a little bit more.
and
I
believe
def
him.
and believe him,
Yeah.
which I think relates to your question on Van looking at him. I think she was constantly trying to test, like, can I believe him now? Like, can I trust
Mm,
things?
mm, mhm.
Um, and so I feel like we watched that happen up until the 10, and she makes a decision that, like, yeah, I will believe him.
And to his credit, he was trying to bring it up multiple times. He probably was even trying to call her. Maybe he'd even like the moments we're talking about, like the moments we don't see.
Mhm.
Maybe he wasn't even trying to do all this at the her, sixth birthday, all of that. And I do feel like there's some markers that validate and help me believe. I feel like for one, when they were in the camp, the tent, he was like, I don't think he planned that conversation out. Like he was
Right.
shivering when Van told him to come in, and they just led into that.
Alright.
And I think the positionality of how they were sleeping after the conversation with Lottie in between, well, Lottie and Van there, Earn all the way over there, with
Mhm.
now Earn in between Lottie and Van, and and Lottie not necessarily being the only thing that connects them anymore. Now
Yeah.
they're
Oh, I
connected to
like
each
that.
other. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah,
And then when they woke up, Lottie, we just see her legs because now she's like, she's still a part of them, but she's not the only thing that is defining their relationship.
yeah,
Like they're together snug now,
yeah. I like that.
And the last part when Lottie is looking at them, I'm like, okay, I think all these things indicate, I think they're, and like Earn and Van, they were just, I feel like throughout the episode, it was like just weird, anxious tension. They're just trying to, I don't think, of course they don't dislike each other, but it was like a lot of like, it was given like they just met each other like last year or something like that. But
Yeah,
we see they're really engaged and really in conversation. And the first episode this season, when Earn made it known to Van that I'm not going to leave you. Remember that emergency exit thing?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
In the
she was just
mall or
like, "I don't
something?
wanna be like your exes,"
Yeah,
He was like, "I wanna leave." And I view that emergency exit as them going from, because you know how it was like of a purgatory feel, all their exes, like, I view that as, like, leaving the rut of Atlanta to the unknown because they didn't know where they're about to go to. It felt weird, it felt slimy. They were in the dark, but Van had to trust Earn, and Earn was leading
mhm.
the way until
Yeah,
they saw that light, and then they were able to go through, and they ended up at the Blue Bloods funeral. They didn't know where they were about to lead out to, but
yeah,
they made it out of that rut. So I
yeah.
do feel like all of those things in mind, like I feel like I'm like, okay,
I get
I
it.
believe it. I'll just chalk
Yeah,
it down to that was just the
yeah,
performance.
yeah.
That was just the performance of the actor. But
No, I like how you tied in
yeah,
that episode. That's true. And I do think, like, it's been a slow burn of watching them individually adjust
slow
themselves,
burn.
you
Yeah.
know, and then come together to talk. I think that's why I just wish the tent conversation was, like, a little bit longer, but I think
Longer,
once you
yeah.
take into consideration how you just broke down, like, this has been, like, since Europe, like, or since even before that, right? Like, slow
Mhm.
actions and events that were, like, slowly trying to heal them as individuals and then their relationship. And
Mhm.
to bring Lottie back into it, I think her distancing herself and her um, not really wanting to be hanging out with them like that
Mhm.
um, made the conversation happen. You know,
Mhm.
like, because imagine if she was into everything, they would have to, like, put their whole attention on her.
Mhm.
And I don't know, it's like it's kind of like she allowed this, like, intimate conversation to happen. So
Mhm.
um
And she's like the bridge between them. Like she what gives them, I feel like, I don't know, warmth, like,
mhm,
and connection. But now we see like it's beyond just Lottie now, and I feel
right,
like that's what's going to be able to make them into a family.
exactly.
Um, the snipe. I don't know. I feel like they had to add some type of, how some
An Atlanta thing.
surrealist, yeah, like something. But
Yeah.
outside of that, it was a pretty normal episode. I feel like the beginning, it's so sad how now we're just like whenever we see like a white man in the middle of the woods, we do think, is this about to be a racist episode?
Yeah.
Stuff like
Right.
that. But ended up being like pretty normal
Yeah.
for the most part. But
I
I don't
agree.
know. Mhm.
I agree. I think like it was a good like I don't know. I feel like I made this comment, but like the magic of children and how they're
Yeah.
able to experience like the world a little bit differently than how we see it.
Mhm.
Um, but I agree. I feel like it was normal. I feel like um, it was catching the viewers up to like this is where people are in their lives. Like I feel like I've been knowing that Ern got it together and like he really did what he said he was going to do in season 1 and he's going to take care of his family. But I feel like this episode really solidified it for
Mhm.
me. Like I keep talking about that tent comment, but even like when they were driving away and I saw the car and like like he had the mother of his child there, his child in the back, and I was like, dang, like I was really able to see like episode 1, season 1 Ern and be like, dang, like he really like did all this stuff. Like, regardless of anything, like the road to it looked whatever, but he really did it.
You
Like,
did it.
he's taking care of them and it made me also want to believe and trust that like whatever's about to happen in LA, like it's going to be a continuation of him
Mhm.
doing what he says he's going to do.
They're
And that
gonna be
says a
good.
lot.
Mhm.
Yeah, like it's going to be good. That says a lot because
Mhm.
I consistently distrust Ern, to be honest.
Me too. I don't like. Yeah, me too. I feel like family. We saw even just a glimpse of it, but the one where his mom stole his granddad. So
What?
that was a funny one
That
too.
was
When the
crazy.
aunt she said, "I
Oh my
watch
god.
Criminal Minds, so I know a sick mind at work."
That was crazy.
that was a
Oh
funny
my
episode.
gosh.
But we heard him say to Al, "I don't want to end up like this. Like
Yeah.
I don't want." So I think, and during a therapy session, I don't like. I think family has been on his mind. He wants a cohesive family. He wants to do better.
Yeah.
He wants to get better. Um, and even with that episode, I feel like the therapy episode. I think that's when he started to let go of that. Remember he did all that to that white lady.
Which one?
Remember the author lady? He set up that
Oh,
whole thing. I think he like let go of that part of
that was
him
crazy. Yeah.
after that episode.
Yeah.
Like that bitterness that like he's open and stuff like that. So I do think we're on the path to see an actual like cohesive family and like a strong connection between Ern and Al. I wonder how their relationship is going to play out in these next episodes. But I do think they have a beautiful relationship, even from that like the Fubu episode, and then the one with New Jazz when he was like, remember Al asked like, "Do I owe my masters?" And I was like, "Damn, did Ern not?"
Yeah.
And then he said, "You do," and I was like,
Yeah.
I think
They have
Al
a
realized.
beautiful brotherhood. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Al realized he could like put
Trust.
his full trust
Yeah.
into that because that's not something we hear about regularly. Somebody just owning their master straight out from the jump
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, I
I
feel like
agree.
that,
Yeah.
like, I feel like that pretty much ends this review. This is a really, really, really good review. Um, what has been your favorite episode of this season so far?
Ooh.
I feel like it's because everything is such in a different genre. It's
Yeah.
hard to just because this one is its own thing. The fifth
Yeah.
one was its own thing. The Tyler Perry one. That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah.
We have to talk about the episode like offline
We no, we will.
because that was a good one.
It's hard. It's
It's
hard.
really hard.
It won't be this one that we discussed. I think this one was like a beautiful, like a calm, like
Calm, yeah.
you can have a direct conversation about exactly what happened. Um, I really liked Al's episode of the scavenger hunt he went through.
With Blue
For
Blood.
Blue Blood. That was the same episode of the mall thing, right? With with Van and Ern, because they end
Yeah,
up.
it was. Yeah.
So I think I would say that was probably my favorite. Is that also where Darius had that
The
lady?
white lady
Oh
doing
my
that. Yeah. She said she said I would rather die than let you
Yes,
take that air fryer.
Brandon, that was so crazy. So I think I had the most fun watching that one because there was a lot
Yeah,
of
it was
different things
good.
happening. Um, so because even the like how you were able to analyze that episode into this one, it's like as you watch it, I wasn't able to do that for them. Like I thought I loved the how they set it up. Like I thought that was such a funny concept. Like
Yeah.
all your exes come and then you like I love that they used that as a space to like clear the air between the two because it was like they have to in a moment of like literal survival have to address like each other's past. So I thought that was so funny and like well done. And I loved it for Al because I felt like it was a good like artist development moment, another good artist development moment for him, but also just like personal at the same time. Like I just love his character. Like I think they do the best again just like character development with him because he's constantly having to like look at himself differently and like empathize with other
Yeah.
people. And they just do a good job. So I really enjoy it. I think that one's probably my favorite so far. And I thought the Tyler Perry one was like one of one of the most hilarious episodes of
That
anything
was funny.
I've
Remember the
ever
grandma pulled out the
watched.
gun?
Like the whole time I was watching and I'm like how is this allowed? Like
he said, "Are you not a Kirkland chocolate woman?" He was like a single mother that can't even afford to take care of her daughter. He said, "Around the way, like friend." He said, "A gun-toting grandmother, the light-skinned former inmate."
like why? And it's like I felt and yeah, I'm sure like watch Tyler Perry be involved like you know it's probably shot on his campus or whatever but it's like
Mhm.
that was crazy
That was I love that episode.
and the other thing about the scavenger hunt episode I loved the D'Angelo was that no, is that
Oh no, that was the that
episode
was that was the third
that's a different
episode.
one but I
Oh,
love
Dear
that D'Angelo
D'Angelo.
scene. Yes. I don't know why, but it cracked me up because I was just talking. I'm always talking about D'Angelo because I feel like he's this like artist that we all know and love, and it's like where is this
He's
guy?
a vague network of people.
Exactly. So I thought that was so funny. Like I just love this show. They find very relatable, like the most random relatable things that I feel like we're talking about,
Mhm,
and they really like stretch it out and expand in
mhm.
a lot of crazy ways. But then like overall, I just really appreciate like similar to Insecure. I just really appreciate getting to be in my 20s watching this in Lifetime.
Yes,
You
yes.
know,
Mhm,
because I feel like there's multiple times we've been able to say like I related to this episode or I related to this character, and I just think it's really important for us to be able to have that in art specifically because I think like especially this year, and I'm sure you can relate. Like everybody's going through it, however it is they're going through it, and I
right,
feel like
right.
it just makes you sit back and just like laugh and be like, "Dang, like this is just going to be part of it. Like it's going to continue." Like I, I don't know. I'm sure there's like multiple. We don't have to get into each other's. Or like there's
Mhm.
multiple moments of things that happened this year, and I'm like, I can't wait to write an episode about this
Right.
because this is crazy.
I feel like we're gonna see a lot of, like, pandemic stuff in their 20s. I feel like maybe in the next 5 years.
Yes.
But yeah, I feel like this show definitely articulates a lot of stuff that the Tyler Perry episode, the D'Angelo thing, just like a lot of Black stuff. I feel like they're able to just show in like complexity, nuance, and like just being simple about it too sometimes.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Agree.
But yeah, we're about to say, my bad. Oh, so I'm really looking forward. Episode 8 premieres tonight. Um, and then after that, it's 2 more episodes, and then the whole series is like over with. So I feel like people
Crazy.
are going to catch on to how good season 3 and 4 have been. More so 4, but maybe down the line. But I feel like it's only those that appreciate Atlanta,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
because I feel like not a lot of people have been. I mean, they were on a 4-year hiatus and they came back, so I'm sure they lost a lot of like consistent viewers. But I feel like not enough people are talking about it right now.
Yeah.
But I think people will catch up to it as the
I
years go by.
I think so too, and I also think it's one of those shows that just finds you when you need it type of thing,
Finds you when you
you
need it.
know?
Yeah.
'Cause
Hmm.
I also, like I feel like, probably, like, last season, I wasn't really paying attention to it like I thought, but then
Hmm.
it took the finale episode for me
To
to be like,
really,
"Dang, like,
yeah.
wait, I understand what they're talking about here," and then I wanted to, like, rewatch it, so,
Hmm.
um, yeah, like, I really wish I could that's why I talk about season 1 because like, there was nothing like finding this, like, it was really like a special show to find, like, it was like a
Yeah.
special thing, so I'm excited for, people to just experience that however they do.
Yeah, definitely. And like I didn't even watch it. I knew I was gonna like Atlanta, but I didn't even watch it until like literally right before season 3 came on. And I'm glad I'm watching it when I'm watching it, but I wish I watched it years back, like when it first aired. Because I haven't seen, and we'll talk about that too. Like they 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 don't describe themselves as Afro surrealists, but they definitely use Afro surrealism to give the tone of their series. I feel like, and I haven't seen stuff like that, and I feel like it's like a form of like free expression that you can like do some alternate reality stuff with like just being black and stuff because it is an alternate reality, you know. So it's kind of easier to kind of tap into that like surrealist type of vibe. Um, but yeah, we're looking forward to the end of season 4, end of the whole series.
Yeah,
Um, Thank you so much for having this conversation with me. I really appreciate it. This is a really, really good conversation.
absolutely, this was
Yeah.
fun. Excited for we should talk about, uh I'm excited for these next episodes, and then, like, I'll call you or something because
Mhm.
I like we talked about, I feel like this one was really literal, but I
Literal, yes.
you know?
Uh-huh.
So I'm really interested when it's, like, the different ones and, like, how like because I feel like this is one of those shows where, when you talk about it, people pick up on way different stuff. And
Yeah. Yeah.
again, it's because I think they do a good job of, like, meeting you wherever your life is at,
Mhm.
and so that surrealism part helps here, so I'm excited, to see what they do and, like, we can continue the conversation.
Let me know. Let me know if you're trying to be back on. Let me know because I like having the back and forth because sometimes it's like difficult to just me talking to myself
Yeah,
and stuff like that and
yeah,
engaging. So I am trying to do more like with just dialogue and stuff like that.
mhm.
So
Yeah, well, thank you for having me, and
of
congratulations
course,
on
of
this show,
course.
killing it, so I enjoy
Thank
every
you.
episode.
Thank you so much. So that is the end of this episode. I will be here for y'all for episode 8. If you're watching this episode will probably come out a little later than usual. That's all. It's all good. Um, yeah, that's all
Thank
I
you
gotta
so much.
say. You said what?
I said, "Thank you
Oh,
so much."
yeah. I'll add little clapping effects after. But okay. All right. See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.